Adam, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks, man. Yeah.
Good.
I've been forward to just having a bit of a chat.
Yeah.
Done that many of these sort of things, I suppose.
Okay.
I don't know if
All
you've
right.
got like a format or whatever, but
Generally, I don't. There's a couple of things I like to talk about. Like I think I WhatsApp them to you. No, I generally
yeah,
there's a couple of questions that I'm always interested in because I'm mainly interested in how people learn and how they I don't know process information or they overcome hurdles because I think those are the things that if you're struggling with guitar or you're struggling with music, you're like, how do I get past this fucking plateau? Like even if it's something like I can't play this B flat in this song, I'm just struggling with it.
yeah,
Or it could be something far more advanced, but I think the process that people use to get from "can't do it" to "got it" is the thing that I'm most interested in.
yeah. Oh, cool. You're a guitarist as well, right? I obviously it can apply to anything, but
Yeah. So
yeah,
why don't we start right there? How do you overcome things you can't do?
I think. Well, one thing that sort of has stuck with me for quite a while is maybe it's not really a thing that you can't do, but it is sort of finding a way to like make the thing you can't do something enjoyable to practice, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
So that if you're, and whether you're sort of practicing something that's a bit more dry or it's like preparing maybe something for something you've got to do,
Mm.
and you're like, this just isn't happening. I don't know, just sort of trying to find an angle that means, or maybe you listen to someone else that is good at that thing, you
Yeah.
know, natural, like listen to an album. I don't know if it's like a slide thing, for example, and you're sucking at it, then go and
Yeah.
just get a bit inspired by Derek Trucks or whoever.
Yeah.
And then sort of, then you'll go, oh, okay, I actually want to sound really good and try and do that.
Mm.
And sort of rather than like, "Oh, I'm bad at this, like make it maybe more like I sort of want to do that, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because another thing, I suppose this is related that I always sort of remember. So when I went to Trinity,
Right.
and I had Mike Outram teaching me for quite a lot of that. I'm assuming
Okay.
you know who that is.
I don't, but I'm writing
Oh
him
right, he's
down.
yeah, he's a great sort of jazz guitar player, and because I did the jazz degree
Yeah.
and teacher and everything like that. And he's you'll find him online for sure. He's got loads of sort of materials and things like that.
Okay.
But I remember
Mike Outram.
Outram, yeah, out as in going out, and then ram, yeah. So I had him for a good couple of years, and to be honest, he was far too good for like me. As in,
Oh,
I was
right.
sort of
Okay.
jazz course a bit. It was sort of I did it. That's probably another subject, but I sort of wanted to do that to learn something. But then but he's amazing, and I was sort of doing a bit of everything, not really a pure jazzer, but anyway. And I was sort of asking him one time, like, how do you practice
Mm.
when you're well, I had a bit of a routine at the time when I was at college of practicing, and I was sort of saying a bit out of my what's the word?
Depth?
I was in a rut basically, and
Right.
just
Okay.
not really. I was doing all this stuff, and I was in this sort of a bit of routine, but I wasn't really felt like it wasn't really getting me anywhere.
Mm.
And I said, "How do you sort of? What do you do when when you want to practice, but you sort of feel if you ever feel like that?" And he sort of said, um, "I always try and play 80% music rather than exercises and things. Like actually spend most of your time
Mm.
playing something that actually has a more of a product, and whether that's like learning some tunes or like just doing something that's actually music rather than going through, because I think at the time I was doing like a lot of technique stuff, and then I'd do I sort of had like I think again it was just something that we got taught at Trinity. I'd sort of have like an hour of sort of techniquey stuff, and then I'd try and do whatever kind of improvisation related thing we'd sort of been recently taught, and that was sometimes a bit of a technical exercise. And I think that was what was sort of getting me down a bit, that
Right.
I just needed to sort of come back to that in a different way. But yeah, so Mike would just say, just learn a tune, like a tune that you like, that you want to
Mm.
learn, you like how it is, or you like the playing, or a solo, I guess would be the same thing.
Yeah.
So now I sort of definitely think that, yeah, just playing something that you're actually passionate about, and yeah, finding a way that makes you excited to sort of get there
Mm.
is really good, and sort of keeps you more sane as well. But I think it definitely can help sort of overcome some hurdles.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think learning something that is something that you actually want to learn, or you've heard it, or you enjoy listening to, is a. I think is the best way to learn music. But I think if there's also some kind of added pressure, like you've got to perform this in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah,
that is the screw that really drives me. Like if it's got to be performed, then it's like, well, I've got no excuse. I have to do it. So
yeah,
if
yeah,
I don't have that, like I remember it was last year, I said I gave myself a year to learn a Chet Atkins piece, and
mhm.
I didn't even get close. I got like halfway through. I was like, well, I can't even do it in a year. And then I thought, well, you've given yourself such a long time space.
Yeah,
You spent the first 6 months going, I've got 6 months to do that. And then it got down to December. I was like, oh, now I better actually. And I did like most of the work in December.
right.
So, well, why don't I give myself the exact same task, but say I've got to have it done by Friday?
Yeah. And did you like that tune or solo or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
was Mr.
it wasn't
Sandman. So
exactly
who
what you
doesn't
like.
like that?
No, well, totally. Yeah, yeah. I just wondered if it was you weren't as passionate about trying to get that together as you, but it was more just an issue of time and a deadline and stuff that you just needed that bit of pressure.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
just gave
totally.
myself
I think,
way too much scope.
and if it's not the most pressing thing, then yeah, you there are obviously in life as you
Mm,
get older, there's just so many other things. So I suppose you just sort of leave it, don't you? And then, because I kind of do the same, I guess. If I think, oh, I'd really like to get this down, whatever it is. I bought a couple of those like I can't remember what they are, sort of video courses where, and it's like
mm.
Greg Park or like whoever, like a great player like
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
You just sort of do it, and I bought them. And they're like £20 or whatever they are. And then every time I think, right, next time I've got some free time, I'll go through that because it was like some hybrid picking stuff, that one, and there was a I've got like an aerial pose and slide one as well, which
Mm.
is great. And I haven't finished them either, and I had them for ages just because of it, basically the same thing. It's like, oh, when I've got nothing like more pressing to sort of do,
Yeah,
then I'll do that. And if I've only got a bit of time, then I find that's when I just want to like play something fun that's,
yeah, yeah.
well, that isn't fun, but it's definitely more of a lesson than just playing some tunes that I just want to play for myself
Mm.
or whatever, or just sort of, yeah, just playing some fun guitar when I get home from a gig, which I do sometimes, which is
Yeah.
nice. I don't want to do something I have to think too much sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit more involved when you sort of like if you go through a video or you go through a book, like you have to get it out, you have to open it up, you have to go right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But somebody said something like, I think it was a runner. He said, like, I just made a deal with myself. I think he was doing the marathon, and he said, there was unless I'm physically unable to do it, I was running every day, whether it was pissing with rain, whether I didn't want to do it, whatever it was, I was going running. And he
Yeah.
said, After about 2 or 3 months of forcing yourself to do it because it becomes part of your life, it does literally become part of your life. It's like, well, it's 6 o'clock or whatever. It's like I'm going for a run now. Unless my foot's fallen off or the
Yeah.
world's on fire, I'm going running. And he said that level of dedication is what I needed, but I think it's what most people need to push through those tough bits. You just have to lace up your
Yeah.
shoes and do it.
Yeah. 100%. But I also think that one thing that I sort of maybe do quite well, and that is a cool thing, is if you've got some little bit of music that you need to learn, obviously, and there's just something tripping you up, you find it quite easy to go really far in the other direction because you've still got that reason to look at it and sort of just get it down, like probably way more than you need to, almost like sort of delve
Mm,
into that a bit and like, okay, I've got this little thing, wherever it might be, and I'm just going to spend ages on that, even though it's for one gig and I can basically play it now. I'll just sort of like get into that a little bit because
mm,
I've come across it on my journey of stuff I've had to do,
yeah.
you know, and then I'll just sit and if it's a technical thing, I'll just like sit and drill it while watching Family Guy.
Do you do that? Do you play and practice whilst watching TV, like half playing and half watching?
Only Family Guy.
Only
No,
Family Guy. Oh, right.
no, but often Family.
Do you know what? I lost interest. All right, I lost. Sorry, go on. I was just going to say that I lost interest with Family Guy around season 5.
Season 5, that's very early.
Mm, yeah,
I think I still think it's great. I think I guess anything is like the peak is like season 2 to 6 or 7, isn't it? Depending on how many there are. So I
yeah.
sort of agree with no. I'd recommend giving it another watch.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, or some of the yeah, maybe it's a little bit more up and down. No, I can't shit on Family Guy. It's great.
I won't ask you to.
But yeah, so it's funny because I used to do as I was saying, I was a bit more practice, like in a slightly more serious sort of, I did the technique stuff for an hour or whatever,
Yeah.
when I was at college and before that. Um, and now sort of don't really feel like I need to do that, partly because of the thing I was saying is like it's not really music, it's just, and also because I've done it, it's more of a thing of upkeep now. Do you
Yeah.
know what I can sort of so I can just put the TV on and like just have a noodle if I want. And
Mm.
like not really doing anything, but I'll still, even if it's sort of subconsciously, I'll try and do something. I'll trip up, and then I'll just like play that a bunch of times. You know what I mean? So it's kind
Yeah.
of just stuff I can already do, but I just maybe don't sit there and practice it to a metronome like I used to. I just sort of, just sort of play so that I've still got that sort of facility there, but I don't
Yeah.
really need to. I don't really need for what I do now, because I'm not like a shredder artist or whatever as
Mm.
such. I'm not sort of constantly trying to just play faster or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of enough to just sort of do that, and it's quite nice, really. I'm quite
Okay.
sort of doing that sort of
Yeah.
thing. I just stick a film on or whatever. Just like when I get home from the show or whatever I might be doing, yeah, I'll just do a bit more. It's almost like can be like a cool down as well. I don't always do it, but
Yeah.
mm, yeah.
Alright. What, 'cause I saw you off in Belfast
Oh
the last.
yeah, yeah, yeah. On
What were you
Monday,
doing over there?
yeah. I've just been doing this tour. It's just like a short thing with some basically like people that are in Wicked, so like Kerry
Mm.
Ellis, Rachel Tucker, and Louise Dearman. Yeah, so that was what
Yeah.
that. So it's just it's a bunch of stuff from Wicked, and it's some stuff from like We Will Rock You, and just like whatever shows that they were in.
Okay.
I think that those three are like quite well known as. Oops, nearly knocked over my drink. Yeah, as performers, obviously, and whatever. So they've kind of got a bit of a following, and they've put a show together, and it's really fun actually. There's loads of kind of fun rock guitar sort of
Mm.
doing the Brian May type thing, and
Nice.
like the stuff from Wicked, as I said. It's kind of I've never played that actual show, but the parts when I have played songs from it, so it's really fun and just kind of nice to just I don't know. There's a lot of sort of big epic kind of lead stuff that you just sort of it's just really I just love doing that kind of stuff and just making it sound really really massive and sort of really good and
Yeah. Nice. Alright, okay. What's the hardest part of your job?
I'm in a Frank Zappa tribute band. That's pretty
Fucking
hard.
hell. Is that with, who's the other guitar player? Is it Will?
No, there is another guitar player called Jonah, who's also like one of my best friends.
No, there must be 2
There
Frank
is
Zappa
another. There
tributes.
is. There is. Yeah, there is another one actually that I need to
Need
that
to message him.
yeah, about meeting up and sort of talking about Zappa basically. But yeah, but that is. I mean, that's I don't know what you were getting at when you said the hardest bit, but that's from a technical point of view. That's certainly one of the
Mm.
hardest things I have to do.
Wow, okay.
Again, it's a great reason to practice stuff because it's technically difficult and it's the kind of thing that doesn't really get easier. It just you have to every time there's a gig, you sort of got to
Mm.
make sure you sort of get all that together again. And I'm singing, and there's like silliness. I have to like wear a devil mask at one point and stuff.
Right,
It's like
okay.
it's full on stupid, but it's amazing. It's one of the sort of most fun kind of projects that I do. And
Right.
but yeah, there's kind of some bits that just never, I think they've been written on for keys or vibraphone even, and
Mm.
they don't sit brilliantly on guitar. But I love that sort of job of just trying to just get all these bits down while
Yeah.
also just like wearing little shorts or being silly, whatever else I'm doing on stage. It's a great thing.
Okay. Alright,
So that
Zappa was something I never really got into.
right, yeah, a lot of people say that, and then they ask how what would I recommend to get into it.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure. I
also
was I was
difficult
going to. How cliché.
yeah, yeah. Well, no. It's because there's so many kind of different aspects of it, and some of it's just so bizarre. And I've been saying for years I need to make a playlist to send people for that exact reason. That's a
Yeah.
kind of gentle, you get a bit of everything, but I've still not done that.
Right.
Yeah, but I can certainly. Maybe I will do that, and I'll send it to you. But it's really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And, yeah, a lot of people seem to really love that band and love coming to see it, which is cool.
Cool. What kind of venues are you playing?
We've done well, we've done Ronnie's a couple of times
Right.
and Jazz Cafe 2 or 3 times, and we've also just done, like, a bunch of pubs and stuff, which is
Yeah.
some most 'cause there's also 8 of us, so sometimes we sort of shrink it down to 5 for, like, a pub gig or something.
Right.
We're going to Germany in the summer for there's actually a Zappa festival in
Cool.
Germany near Hamburg, which we've sort of been trying to get for a couple of years, and we've got it this year, where I don't think it's all Zappa tributes because that would be mental, but that's sort of it's basically just a festival about Zappa, and I think there's a big statue of him in that town or something. So they've got some connection. I should probably actually look up what that is
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, they love Zappa out there basically. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be really cool. And yeah, it's just a mega thing to do. And yeah, a lot as I said, a lot of people sort of really like coming to watch it, and it's so kind of it's so off the wall and so kind of difficult for everybody that it seems quite impressive to kind of pull it off, I think, and
Mm.
really satisfying for all of us. And a lot of us kind of went to Trinity together, so we sort of started it. We actually started it just after COVID,
Right.
because we just got a gig. I think it was at the Jazz Cafe. It was the first one,
Okay.
and we were sort of stumbling our way through these really crazy tunes. But yeah,
Mm.
so that's kind of one of the that's definitely one of the sort of projects that keeps me sort of inspired and passionate about. I mean, I enjoy everything, but in particular that it's kind of
Yeah.
it's unsurprisingly it's not like for the money that one. It's
Yeah. A passion
definitely
project.
yeah, it's absolutely. I didn't start it, but I'm sort of involved quite a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Okay.
really
Now, although I mean, the songs of like I've heard a few Zappa tunes, but I've never really sort of dug deep into it. But from what I understood of it, the music is just batshit bonkers crazy. So how did you go about learning it? Did you learn it all? Did you have to transcribe it all? Were there sheet music out there? YouTube
yeah. So my
videos?
say again, sorry.
YouTube videos?
No, not so my friend, Ben Vise, who's, unbelievable musician, actually. You should actually interview him if you're doing these things.
Write that down. Ben
Yeah,
Vise.
yeah. He's a sax player and a keys player, and he runs this Zappa band. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, all
exactly.
right. Drop him a message.
Yeah. So he got this gig in the first place, and he's just a wizard of transcribing and, yeah, notating everything out. I'm not really sure how he sort of does it so accurately because then he'll send the stuff over and it's super detailed and everything. And I'll be starting to play it through and think, oh, I think he's messed up there. That's not quite right. And then it's correct. I
Mm,
realize he does all that. And then some of us read it on the gigs, but I don't. I sort of like to just learn it because it's a rock gig basically. So
yeah,
it's quite.
yeah,
So and because I'm doing the singing stuff, it's like it's quite nice just to be not playing it. So yeah, but then after that, it's a case of some of it is so kind of it's not in like neat phrases and stuff like that. It's so kind of random that you just sort of have to like know it and just live in that world for a bit and just listen to it hundreds of times. And
yeah.
luckily, again, I absolutely love that music. He's one of my favorite artists. Wasn't really before, but now I started doing this band, I just sort of got into it so much that it's like Zappa's the only thing that matters in a way.
All right, okay.
So that helps. So I always love it's kind of almost a treat if I've got something else I've got to worry about and then that's over and then there's a Zappa gig coming up. I'm like, oh great, I can play through all the Zappa
Yeah,
stuff again and just like get that back up to speed or whatever. So
okay.
yeah, but it does some of them have taken ages to really get together completely because they are really, really tough.
Hmm,
Almost sort of on the verge of technically impossible. And
okay.
I had a bit of an injury. Well, I still sort of do, but I think just came basically just from playing too much at one point, and stuff like I almost have to be careful that I can't just sit there rinsing stuff for hours and hours like I used to because it starts to flare this thing up. So yes, kind of. I guess it's RSI related, really. It's fine if
Okay.
I don't do too much. So yeah, I sort of have to like be a bit what's the word, efficient, I suppose,
Yeah.
sometimes when practicing it. But just kind of knowing the stuff is as big a thing as any. But what I love about Ben as well, who runs that band, is he won't go like, oh, is this tune a bit difficult to get together? He'll be like, this will be so impressive if we get it together,
Mm,
which is exactly what Zappa did. Also would like between tours would change the version of the song completely that he'd do. So new arrangement, and Ben's actually done that a couple of times as
man.
well, which is really we're like, oh, this is making your life so much harder, but it is kind of very much in the spirit of the man.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
So it's yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot of work, but now we tend to do the same things a lot. So it's kind of it's slipped into this really comfortable thing. Or a lot of them have. Some of them are still difficult, but
Yeah.
yeah. And we all just love it so much that it's just this kind of great thing. And as I said, some of my best mates are in that band as well. So
Nice.
it's really
Very
cool.
cool. And so how did you get into playing music right at the very start?
So I'm from sort of Suffolk, Essex, Suffolk border, and my parents are amateur musicians, so they were sort of into it, and so that was cool. And they just knew like a local bloke that was a guitar teacher, and they said, "Oh, do you want to learn an instrument?" When I was 7 or 8, and sort of did that with him, and he was just such a brilliant teacher. To be honest, I think he was so inspiring because we would just sit there working out like Hendrix songs together and whatever, just doing that sort of thing, and not just Hendrix, but Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin or just very much sort of classic rock, because he was he played in the pubs at weekends and whatever, and then just taught in the week or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was great. That was so much fun. But he also quite liked playing classical guitar, so every now and again he'd just get that out and an easy, one of those sort of easy, I can't remember what those composers are called that just write tons of like quite straightforward classical tunes. They're like, right, let's try and play this. So I
Yeah.
sort of had the sort of reading thing going along with the working out rock songs by ear type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that and so that was I was just always from that age, which I suppose was probably 8 or 9. I was obsessed with just playing guitar and sort of without realizing was getting decent at sort of like the reading music side of it and understanding a bit of theory and that type of stuff as well through him, just sort of having those both two sides of things. And then also I was very lucky actually because my dad was sort of involved in some sort of local, well, he was in a still is I think, in a big band and
Mm.
a and sort of a functiony type band, but like a function band that sort of read charts.
Yeah.
So sort of as soon as I could just about play or get through something, I do go to sort of rehearsals and whatever, and then some later on just do some gigs as well. So I sort of had quite a lot of experience of just sort of just doing sort of random gigs and stuff and turning
Mm.
up looking mildly smart and reading a chart, by the time I
Yeah.
was 14 or 15 really, which was
Yeah.
great. And then I sort of carried on doing that until I went to college and almost thought, oh, I'm very glad that I did move to London and do all that. But I was sort of like, oh, I'm actually quite sort of busy just doing these sort of random local gigs and stuff. And, uh, you know, that was great. I was sort of quite experienced, even though I didn't do the sort of, like the junior jazz and all those kind of things that a lot of
Mhm.
people do. I didn't sort of know any of that existed, but I did sort of have this kind of background of knowing how to sort of do a gig, which has actually served me really well in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going out at what do you say, 14 or 15, you're going out doing either function gigs or big band gigs, and your chart reading is, I mean, that is, I would say that's worth so much more than kind of doing the whole dotting round original bands, scraping things together in the garage with your mates. I mean, that stuff is all fun as well.
Yeah.
But
No, I was in a rock band at school as well.
all right, okay,
I
all right.
played drums in that actually.
But I mean, I stress chart reading to all of my students. Like first day one, people are reading simple charts that I write out because I think it's such a valuable tool. Not
It's
necessarily
really
chart
valuable.
reading.
No, I think and again, it's like, that thing I was saying about doing music rather than an exercise. It's like all that is it's still music. It's just a way of, do you know what I mean? It's not, you're
Yeah,
not either playing songs or, oh, I need to learn how to read music. It's just a thing that you need to translate and make sound nice. It's the same thing. So it's really useful
yeah,
to learn to do that, I think.
yeah,
Because I don't even think I was that good at like reading notation as such for ages. Because a lot of those big band charts and whatever things I was talking about were just chords, obviously, so I could
yeah,
do that all day long. But the notation stuff was sort of, it was obviously here and there. For guitar, it's like you don't
yeah.
as much of it as you do chord charts. So I sort of got sort of good at that later, maybe.
Mm,
Because that was actually the first sort of thing I started doing that was sort of in London and with people my age, was like the Nijo thing.
yeah,
So I'm sure other people have sort of probably said a similar thing.
The National Youth Jazz Orchestra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. I was in the band eventually, but I was to start with. You can there's like a sort of secondary band you could just go along to. So when I was about 17, I think I started doing that, and you
Mm,
just sort of sit there and sort of get roasted with these sort of quite difficult charts a lot of the time.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And then I was involved in that band for like the next 8 years in various. I was like depping and then
Mhm.
doing doing the main band later on and stuff. But that was another sort of really valuable thing, I guess, like alongside college of sort of getting good at reading and
Mm,
learning phrasing with lots of people and like the standard was really good and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about music at home? What was always on?
A good question, really. My well, yeah, I think because my dad was like in that big band, so he would listen to sort of a fair bit of big band type stuff.
Yeah,
And he also loves like just kind of 70s stuff. Just
yeah,
like, nothing particularly. I don't think it particularly inspired me. It was more this guy I was having lessons of. He was the one introducing me to Hendrix and,
yeah.
the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and stuff, and all the stuff that I still think is the best music in the world. And my sort of taste hasn't really changed particularly drastically for 20 years.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I went down, when I went to Trinity and whatever, that was kind of, I'd go down that sort of a bit of jazz rabbit hole and
Mm,
almost force myself more into that than I was truly into.
yeah.
Uh, Now it's kind of, I've almost gone back to what I used to listen to, but then I've taken bits from that time of sort of being, having to listen and play and study jazz every day. So we've taken the things I like and still listen to those, but don't listen to a lot of the other stuff. So that's cool.
Mm, yeah,
Um, but yeah, at home it was, yeah, I didn't really sort of bear that much. Well, actually, I suppose like my dad did sort of introduce me to like those, like Dark Side of the Moon and Hotel California. I think they were the sort of albums
yeah.
that was the first time that I'd sort of heard like, oh, this is like what a guitar is meant to sound like, not going like ching 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 in a big band or
Right,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sort of
yeah.
right, actually. Yeah. So they were, yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, the kind of classic rock thing has been sort of massive for me.
Yeah, yeah. How was going to Trinity? How long were you there
It
for?
was
What kind of
great.
course
So 4 years. Did the 4-year jazz undergrad. Yeah, so I finished just before the pandemic, basically, which was sort of
Okay.
annoying in a way because it was like, "Oh, I finished now, and now there's no
Now I can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah. It was great.
I mean, I think it's better that you did that than you had COVID interrupt to a 4-year jazz degree.
Completely agree. Yeah. I felt really sorry for anyone that was there doing it on Zoom.
Yeah,
That's not
that
the
would have
one.
sucked.
Yeah. The best thing about it was not the lessons as such, but it was just playing with people every day
Mm,
and obviously just making relationships. And there's people, as I said, that I still play with all the time now from there. But yeah, it was that kind of, because another thing was when I was, as I said, I was sort of experienced of doing these sort of, you know, gigs in my sort of home area when I was really young. I didn't play with many people that were sort of my age. It was all like older blokes and
right,
whatever.
right.
So yeah, going to Trinity and doing the like Nijo thing, and then obviously everything that branches out of that. Yeah, it was sort of like, oh, I'm playing with people my age that have got the same,
Yeah,
aspirations and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I had sort of two main guitar teachers. One was Mike, and one was a guy called Hannes Rippler, who I had him later, and he was really fantastic as well. And I sort of always had to take things with a bit of a, you know, the attitude that I want to learn and get better here, but I also want to sort of start doing, things that aren't, because it was all kind of jazz, I guess. There wasn't really
yeah,
much. Um, I wanted to sort of start doing the other bits that are gonna, make me a sort of living and stuff
yeah,
as well. So sort of towards the end, particularly, because that's right, because I did that, and then I also got the odd lesson off of Adam Goldsmith as
yeah,
well
yeah.
as a more sort of session lessons, if you want to call it that, because that
Mm,
wasn't really offered at Trinity, and that was sort of thought this is sort of more the area I want to do. Even though I was glad I was doing the education from Trinity, so I just went and saw him not even very often, just every few months or whenever I could sort of
spare the
make it
time and
work.
money.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But he was like absolutely brilliant, and he's just the best. Well, he's the best really guitar player of that type of
Mm,
session. And just here's a chart, make it sound amazing on the first time type thing. And that's sort of what we did in the lessons. It would just be like a session that he'd have got up. So that was really, really, really
Okay.
bad having him as well. So it was sort of, just
Yeah.
taking balance of a few different areas and seeing what stuck in a way.
Yeah.
But now I don't play very much jazz, really, to be honest. It's just, but I'm really glad that I'm like literate in that stuff and I know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, could you play a standard now if someone dropped the chart in front of you? Like,
Yeah, I
quickly,
could. Yeah.
we're gonna do giant steps. Off we go. Ready?
Well,
Here we
probably not
go.
giant steps because that's too hard. I could never do that. That was the problem. Yeah, I'd get myself into these. I remember I spent like months trying to play. It wasn't giant steps actually. It was 26-2, which is like one of the other Coltrane tunes where the harmonies all over the place.
Yeah.
That was almost actually funnily that you say about giant steps and that. That was almost the moment that I'd been sitting there trying to do this for months, and I didn't care about it. So again, that's the thing of like
Yeah.
I don't like, not to shit on John Coltrane, but it just wasn't my thing, and I wasn't good at it, and I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And I sort of thought actually, there's kind of an argument for if this is just not you, just don't worry about it. And also at the same
100%.
time,
Yeah.
because like with Trinity, people would obviously be doing their finals and that sort of thing, and they'd book rhythm sections and stuff. And I'd always get booked on the ones that were maybe either the slightly more rocky, electric-y end of jazz, which
Yeah.
suited me, or funnily enough, like the really old school kind of stuff. And I sort of still feel like those two things are better than the kind of the Coltrane changes and even the sort of bop kind of stuff.
Mm.
Never like it was never properly in my blood, and I suppose that's partly because I didn't really listen to it very much
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to sort of when I first got into jazz guitar, it was all like Charlie Christian and like the really kind of old stuff.
Yeah.
And then probably because of the big band connection as well, like because he was like with Benny Goodman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then also kind of John Scofield and Mike Stern, it was the kind of, and then there's a bunch of stuff in between that I wasn't really that bothered
Yeah.
about. That might be partly because there's not as many guitar players that do it. So I wasn't sort of listening to, because I always sort of found it hard trying to like transcribe a sax solo or something, even though it probably would have been really good, because I was like, I can't hear this as like, there's things that they can do that I can't. And it was not as exciting than to try and like guitar solo in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Like, I think what you said, like the value in knowing when to step away from something is really crucial. But I think
Yeah.
you only really get to know what that is until you've actually immersed yourself in it. And I think I'm kind of on the same page as you when it comes to jazz. Like, I really love Kind of Blue. I think that's such an amazing album.
Yeah.
I can sit and listen to Joe Pass, no problem at all. But when we start moving into the more of the John Coltrane bebop thing, I'm like, maybe it's just I'm not just there yet. But at the moment, if I listen to it, like I was listening to, I put Giant Steps on the drive down to my gig, and I got halfway through. I'm like, it's just too much. It's just too much for me. It's just
Yeah.
I need to step back from this.
Yeah, for sure. There's a kind of intellect to that stuff, I suppose, as well, that some of us are just too stupid for.
At
Yeah.
least we're trying.
Yeah, which exactly what we did try. I've stopped trying. But no, yeah. I know what you mean about, I guess like Kind of Blue is a great example of just a completely different thing. It's kind of space and it's like phrasing.
Mm,
It's a mood
yeah,
rather than a thing that you have to try and understand. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
There's difficult on that album there's a couple of things actually, but generally it's kind of like there's a blues and then there's like a one chord modal thing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
There's quite that sort of level of, oh, I need to really sort of try and understand this. In a way, then you could argue that that's almost harder to play, or it's more because you're not just doing, oh, if you nail the changes of this, then that's kind of it.
Mm,
On like something with more changes and more,
yeah.
but where it's like, could you or I have come up with like Miles's solo on So What or whatever? Maybe not, because it's
No, I don't think so. I've
more
tried.
about do you know what I mean? That sounds a bit of a simplistic way of saying it, maybe, but sorry,
All right.
that's train of thought now. It's kind of more. That's them. You can't possibly emulate that. It's almost like I always think about this with sort of like drummers, like someone like John Bonham is probably one of my favorite musicians, of anyone. And there are probably there are more technical drummers that I think would be easier to emulate
Yeah.
because like that the reason that this player is just so amazing is just so much harder to sort of emulate this thing that they've got. It's just them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of what I love about a lot of music. And actually my best well, one of my best mates, Jonah, he was my best man actually at my wedding. So who's also in the Zappa band. I kind of always think this about him because he doesn't really isn't kind of almost feels like he doesn't try or like practice to be amazing, but it just is. And it's like he just sounds like him and he'll play through like the worst amp in a rehearsal room or
Mm.
whatever. And I'm just going like, how are you sounding so good right now? There's
I
me like
hate those
one of my idols. Yeah. And he just kind of but there's never any it's just like, oh, I don't know, I just sort of do it and it's great.
bastards.
And I just, you know, drink Guinness and love life. And I'm like, that just shines through
Dude's living the dream.
more than yeah. So I guess that's another thing. Sorry if I've completely just jumped
That's
subject, but
fine.
of sort of being because when you're at college and whatever, you sort of practice and you think I need to get all this stuff down, but then I feel like now it's like more just trying to work on yourself as a complete sort of person in a way, and if that's making yourself happy, then that's
Mm.
going to through in your playing and stuff like
Mm.
that,
Yeah.
and just enjoying life and having good relationships and friends and stuff. It's kind of I think there was maybe times where I'd go, I'm not gonna meet up with you team for a while or whatever because I need to get like this stuff done. And now I'd probably just do the opposite and be like, that other thing will be fine. It's
Mm.
important that do you know what I mean? That I go for a beer with you or whatever.
Yeah.
And because I don't know about you, but I've turned up to a lot of gigs and I've not been particularly happy for whatever reason just at that time. And then I've just played like shit.
Yeah.
But then
Absolutely.
other times I'll be like, I'm in such a brilliant mood right now. I'm just gonna like I'm so excited to like make this sound so good because I know I can
Mm.
do it and this is just gonna be awesome. And then it obviously is.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing of just life versus just pure trying to just technically be good at something is
Yeah.
sort of something I've been thinking about a bit recently, I
Yeah.
suppose.
I think keeping the mind healthy plays such a
Yeah,
huge part in performing and playing music.
yeah,
Like I went through, I tend to slip into these kind of really dark, bleak, morose kind of moods, and
yeah,
I kind of came out of one about no about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. But when I'm in it, like everything is self pity, it's self woe, it's the world's against me. Everybody, I'm isolated, I'm on my own, regardless of who's around with me. But then I signed myself and my daughter up to do a 5K run for her Duke of Edinburgh award.
yeah,
I was like, right, well, we're going to have to go out running. But as soon as I started going out running, it literally is like shedding old skin.
yeah,
And then you kind of get back into it. It's like, do you know what? The more I go out and do this, even though I hate it, and we mentioned it earlier, like just go out and do it. Like I fucking hate running. I hate when I'm out there and running. My chest hurts, my feet hurt, my knees hurt. But I get home, I have 5 minutes, and I'm like, I feel fucking great.
yeah.
And that
And
then
also you
fills.
did it, so you got that feeling of
But
that
that
was
that that
awesome.
that feeling of that great feeling then just filters through everything else in my life, whether it's having to do my taxes or whether it's having to go and teach 5-year-old kids at school or I'm meeting people or going and I'm doing shows or whatever it is. It all filters like that central feeling better about yourself mentally filters into every aspect of my life.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's another thing as sort of uh, British people and whatever, we're like often just self-deprecating and all that sort
Mm.
of stuff. Right? And I had a gig recently. I specifically remember it was in Belfast again. I don't just do gigs in Belfast,
Yeah.
and I was just for whatever reason was just feeling like I can't do this. I don't want to. And it was a gig where I had to sort of go down the front and be a bit, do a few things. And
A bit showmany.
yeah, which is I like doing that. And but for whatever reason, this day there was just some things that were just stressing me out and making me feel crap. And I was just like, I can't. I don't think I can do this. It was really weird. I'd not been felt quite that like awful on a gig for ages. And then I just sort of for some reason it sounds so cocky, but I just sort of said to myself like you're really really good at this, like playing guitar. Like you it's your job to be the reason you're here is that you've been booked because you're good at this. So just just be really good. It was almost like, you know, just to overcome this sort of this misery, I just had to be a bit like arrogant for a minute and then just say,
Mm.
just show people how good you are at this thing. And so I sort of did that and I was like, oh, that like really worked.
Yeah.
Just to get me through that particular time. I was not, I wouldn't want to like walk around thinking that all the time because it just wouldn't be a bit weird and it's not
Yeah.
really what, back to self-deprecating now. But yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of worked at that time of just kind of, there's a reason I'm here.
Yeah.
Sort of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that that mental pep talk was just to get you through the show, or do you think that carried over into most of the rest of your life, or did you have to do something else to kind of bring you out of that?
Well, weirdly, in that case, it was just that one day that I just was struggling. So it
Right.
just took me out of it then. But yeah, other times I'm trying to think what else I sort of do. Yeah, I think it's a good way of talking to yourself though. Just that kind of thing of like somebody's paying me to be here, so they could have picked anyone,
Yeah.
and they've sort of chosen you. And where was I going with this? Yeah, so it's your duty to do it well.
Yeah.
So you have to do that anyway. And B, you should want to be like, there's a good reason why you've asked me to do this thing. And I think that helps with nerves as well. If you're nervous about something,
Mm.
saying, well, they've asked me, so they think that I'm good enough for this. I've been
Yeah.
put in a position, especially if it's something you feel a bit impostery
Mm.
doing, which I've definitely had in the past. Yeah. So it's kind of that can really help. That sort of I haven't been randomly selected to do this
Yeah.
with no thought about who is going to be, unless they've got to the bottom of a massive list.
I'm sure that's not the case.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes maybe. So yeah. So I think that's a kind of a really good thing to kind of have. But obviously, you don't want it to then turn into an ego and show off too much either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because another thing about that is, was it? I think it was at Trinity. I was doing a big band thing, and I think Mike Lovett was running it, the trumpet player. And he said, "Is it Mike? I think it was." Yeah, about like an ego thing. Like the ego should be an ego of the whole band. So as in you're trying to show off this thing
Mm.
good as possible, not yourself. Do you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
only ego that should be in the room is a collective one. To be like, we're doing this, we're going to show this off. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Other than sort of yourself, because
Yeah.
I think there can be a bit of a balance of, you want to be confident and you want to be good, like we were just saying, especially if you're feeling not good about yourself, but you also you don't want to overstep your your own job at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. I think keep
So
keeping
yeah,
keep
it's all
keeping
like
your own.
balance stuff too.
Yeah, keeping your own ego in check is important. I think every now and again you need a bit of a reality check. That usually a good MD will do that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask about like what are your thoughts? And I don't know if you have any experience with this, but what are your thoughts in music education as a whole at the moment? That's a whole with a W, not an H.
Yeah. That took me a sec. Um, I mean, I don't do any teaching,
Right.
so I don't know,
Okay.
basically.
Well, things that you may see on Instagram or on
Yeah,
YouTube that you're like, well, okay, hang on, that needs addressing because that's not right.
I've also got so annoyed with the Instagram thing that I don't really look at it. So this is.
Yeah, it did take us a couple of months to
Oh yeah,
get
sorry, it took
connected.
like a month to reply to you. Yeah, that was just a sort of. I still have at the moment. I still have the account, obviously, and I sort of feel like maybe it's probably worth keeping.
Mm,
This isn't the question you asked, but yeah, I just sort of don't want to just sort of consume that, especially now it's all just sort of this like AI shit and whatever. I don't care. I'd rather
yeah,
just, and I don't particularly want to be like an online musician or a presence or anything like that. I'd rather do like pub gigs than be a Instagram guitarist. You know what I mean?
fine. Okay, all right. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just some people are great at that, and that's fine if you want to do that, but I don't care.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah, but what was the question? Oh,
Music
education.
education.
I really, yeah, I'm sorry. I really don't, not probably the best place to sort of answer that really, just
I
because
mean,
of,
'cause you mentioned earlier that you bought some online, I assume, like True Fire videos.
that's true. Yeah. But I think that was more, yeah, because that's like quite a longer course almost,
Yeah.
quite a lot of videos and stuff. I mean, I think it's probably, if it's something that you're sticking with like that, or, it's, so I also did I had it was actually through Nigel, like, had a year of, like, ones with Martin Taylor, like the jazz
Yeah,
guitar.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Jesus.
you could, yeah, it was great. So he had videos on there, but then you could play and send them to him, and he'd give you some feedback as well, which was,
Wow, okay.
um, uh, yeah, and that was just the course that I just happened to just get it for free, which was amazing.
Lovely.
Nigel, yeah, yeah, that was just, I think that was in COVID sort of thing. I almost wish I'd have made more of it, to be honest, but it was great. So, yeah, that was cool. But I mean, I don't really know what people are doing. Are people sort of, are you talking about sort of YouTube and stuff versus having a real teacher?
I mean, yeah, a little bit like that. I mean, so the things that I see a lot, if we just stick with the YouTube or Instagram space, what I see a lot of is just an overabundance of technique videos, how to shred, how to play as many notes as you possibly can. And I see so little on things like bending and vibrato, or just how to listen with a little bit more depth rather than just listening to something once or putting it on a playlist. I think listening to music in general, I don't feel like particularly kids are listening to stuff with the kind of depth that maybe certainly that I used to listen to stuff, and I would assume maybe you, like, I would only have enough money when I was a teenager to go and buy one album a week. So I'd
Mm,
have to make one album a month. So I'd have to make that last, and I'd have to really listen to it. And
yeah,
I think that that isn't the case anymore. People are just dumping 1,000 songs onto a playlist, hitting random, and then just listening to whatever pops up.
yeah. I totally agree with you. I very much miss, like, when you've purchased an album, you listen to that so much, don't you? And you get obsessed with it because
Yeah.
you paid for it.
Yeah.
You have endless thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now, what's that? Might be my cat. Yeah, now it's that kind of, you can have anything,
Mm.
which is, it's hard to talk about it without sounding like, oh, I miss the old days or whatever.
I don't wanna sound like an old man screaming at the clouds, but
Yeah,
I do think that there is some value in it, and I do say to my daughter, sorry to interrupt you, but I do say to my daughter, what I'd really love you to do is just to find one album and listen to it for a week.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Have you got, like, records in a record player? Because I think that's still a
I
cool.
don't. I do
Yeah,
have records, but I haven't bought a record player yet.
yeah, because I'm actually in the same position at the moment. I had one and then it sort of was really old and died, so I need to get another one. But that sort of act of putting it on, looking at because that's another thing, like the physical thing, like looking at the sleeve notes and stuff is so fun.
Yeah.
And, like, they obviously had, like, like the one I've got of Sergeant Pepper's got these little, like, cut out, like, figures that came with it and stuff,
Right,
and
yeah, yeah.
Graffiti's got the thing where you pull it out and then you've just got the windows, and, like, just cool stuff like that that goes,
Mm.
it's just an experience to be, like, having in your hand while you're listening to the album. But yeah, back to the kind of online education thing. I suppose it's partly, I mean, you probably know more than me, but the shredding videos and stuff probably attract more, what do you call it? Like, uh
Clicks, likes, views.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I had a great saying from, I think it was James O'Brien, the
Yeah.
radio broadcaster, said, it's easy to sell tickets to the ghost train. It's harder to sell tickets for the guess your own weight competition.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right.
you can sell videos on how to shred, how to sweep pick, how to alternate pick, but it's very difficult to sell tickets or videos or clicks or likes on a video on how to listen to music
Yeah,
properly, how to work on your bending and vibrato, which everybody shrugs it off, but bending and vibrato is the one thing. As soon as I hear someone can't do it, I'm like, not worth it.
yeah, 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 you can tell that they
You
haven't.
suck.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, no, you're totally right. But then I suppose at that point, it's more about them getting. It's not really about the education. It's like, how many likes and things can I get, and how much money can I sell? Is,
Yeah,
less, whatever it is, courses or whatever can I
yeah.
sell? It's not really about. So yeah, I think in that case, that's when maybe that's just a bit of a different thing, because it's this kind of online. I mean, I know a few people that have sort of, oh, I'm selling this online thing, and I think I definitely always feel like it's more for them
Yeah,
making money than the
I don't know. I don't quite know if I'm that cynical, but
sorry,
I mean, everyone has to earn a living, and
I mean, not always.
if someone is a very technically gifted musician or guitarist or whoever, then packaging something up that they're known for and that they know how to do and they can do it well is, of course, you're going to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I've thought of doing stuff as well, and it's always an option. But I just think I see so much of it. It's like, well, maybe there's a gap in the market for a video on how to. Or maybe the reason there is a gap is because it doesn't sell very well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe yeah, you could do something of how to play, but there's no, like, fast playing allowed or something. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't
Yeah,
know, is presumably, is there a there's I imagine there's a decline in people having one-to-one sort of lessons these days. I don't know.
don't know. I mean, I teach in schools, so I'm in primary
Yeah.
schools and secondary schools, and I only do 3 days a week, but I'm full up those 3 days, and
Right. Okay.
I
So,
have multiple people come. I have a few people come into the house after school and after work. So I
yeah.
wouldn't say I'm not
Well, that
struggling for students.
no. Okay. That's really good because I do think that's kind of obviously, yeah, especially anything that you can't learn. I mean, you should, always have, I think, one-to-one lessons and stuff anyway, but there are obviously things that you can sort of learn from a book or YouTube or whatever, maybe
Yeah.
just certain exercises or whatever. But there are definitely things that, like, well, a bit going back to, like, having those few lessons off Adam, that was really important to me because I thought I sounded really good then, and Adam
Mm,
would be like, "Well, yeah, you read that really well, or you played whatever, that was great, but just because we'd record it or whatever, it's like, just have a listen to this. Does that sound as good as it could do?" I'm like, "Well, I guess not. If I wasn't reading that and I was coming up with my own part, I wouldn't have played it that,
mm,
meticulously or whatever." And it's like just things like that. I probably just would you almost, especially when you're younger, I wouldn't have clocked on my own,
yeah.
sort of thing. And it takes someone with that sort of experience to just sort of, even if they might not be teaching you anything per se, but it's like noticing things,
Yeah.
you know, um, that if you want to get to that higher level, it's like that could sound better.
Mm. And it's usually the simple stuff.
Yeah, it was for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not quite in the pocket. You're not quite groovy. Those 16s
Yeah,
aren't
yeah,
quite
exactly.
popping.
Yeah. Something's not ringing out and as it should or whatever. Have
Yeah.
another listen to the original and stuff. Yeah. So totally. I think that's really, and also because I did when I was younger, I just did like pure like technique and stuff for a while anyway,
Mm.
just doing all that shredding stuff and that. So that was, I almost feel like that's sort of done in a way. So now I'm probably like you, just much more interested in just, again, actual music, things sounding good,
Mm.
songs, that sort of thing. Yeah. Probably another reason that I, would much prefer to listen to, yeah, some good pop songs than certain types of jazz and things that are a lot more intellectual. It's sort of,
Yeah, yeah. I tell you, what, I'm really the last 6 months or so. I've really been focusing on just getting a good sound out of whatever gear I have to use.
yeah, that's a great
I've
thing to,
got one of those. I don't know if you've seen the little Black Star Floor 3 things. The little
I don't know. Yeah.
it's Black Star's kind of answer to
Camp.
budget Kemper's stuff. So
Yeah.
it's under 300 quid, and I had loads of vouchers from leftover from Christmas. I was like, oh, I'll get
Yeah.
that,
Okay. Cool.
and it's okay. And I'm
Right.
using it for the show I'm on at the moment. I can't. It's not quite as sparkly as say like the Kemper or the Tonex or the Fractal.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's a fraction of the price. But,
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how good a tone can I get from this little 300 quid unit? And it's very limited as well. So I think putting those limitations, like, you've got 4 banks, so you can put, like, something in the preamp, you can put something in the modulation, delay, and reverb, and then you
Yeah.
choose whichever amp you
Quite
want.
nice in a way, just to not
So
have it.
it's yeah, it's just I hate doing the kind of deep diving through all the like the Line 6 or the Helix or all that kind of shit, like having to open up the app, plug it into the computer, go and drop in this IR
Yeah.
app,
Yeah.
get that. I was like, I fucking hate all that shit. Some
Yeah.
people love it. I fucking hate it. So
I
having
hate as well. Yeah.
something that is just so simple, I just push, all right, I want a delay, I want a reverb. What delay do you want? I'll have that reverb, I'll have this kind of ping pong delay, I'll have that preamp thing, I'll have a tube screamer in the front, and I'll use Black Stars, whatever it is, an 830. That sounds
Mhm.
okay. Back and then
Yeah.
just tweaking that. So yeah, I'm down that road.
That's
Just
good. I think
really,
anything that doesn't distract you too much from like playing the music is good. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
yeah.
constantly, because I'm the same, because I got like I got a pedal board, but also a Kemper. and I just use pretty much use the same bank for everything, and then just tweak it to specific needs if I need to. But it's like the delay is always the same delay. I don't go and the
Yeah,
amps are
yeah,
with like the clean one and then the crunchy one and whatever. So all this just the same stuff because it's like, oh, that's just the sound that I like. I know what it's going to sound like and do.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be sitting there getting distracted by
All that shit.
by all these different stuff. Yeah, 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 and it's great, and I never really have to think about it, which is great. So I can just concentrate on other things,
Yeah,
which is really nice. But obviously, that doesn't have the limitations of the other thing you were just talking about. I
yeah,
get, but I don't really play with it that much anyway, so it's sort of it's fine.
yeah.
But I think that thing of because I know a lot of people they'll use one of those systems. Sorry, this is all about gear now, but and then they'll change because they're like, oh, that thing sounds a bit better. But I think if you just know the one that you've got,
Mm,
and it's like that's the sound that I use. Because it's like if you bought an amp, you're not going to just bring a different. You're probably going to use that amp for everything.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you don't need hundreds of different things. I think is my point.
yeah. I think and knowing how all your gear works, getting the most out of all of your gear is quite key.
Definitely. Yeah.
The other thing will ask you this last one before I'll let you go.
I know you're all good.
Do you like your playing?
Do I like my playing? Yes, I think so. Um, I think it's varied. Actually, funnily enough, I was listening to something yesterday, and well, in fact, I was. It was the. It wasn't. This wasn't yesterday. It was a few days ago. But the dep recording that I've got for my show. So I was sending to my deps,
Mm,
and like there's a lot of freedom in it, which is great.
yeah,
But I was sort of so therefore you can sort of just have a bit of a shred over some of these chords, and it's great because you can do different stuff every night, and it's like it's really good for that. But then I was sort of listening back, and I was thinking, well, this is probably like a bit much in but
you
kind of
don't have to do this.
yeah. Like, I think when I was on stage, when I am on stage, sorry, doing it, it's fine because you can actors are running around, there's stuff going on, and you feel like this over the topness kind of is in keeping. But then, like in isolation on the recording, where it's just kind of guitar
Yeah,
really loud and whatever, I was like, this just feels like really untasteful.
yeah,
Yeah, so sometimes I think that if I just played less, that would
mm,
be good. But then other times I listen to because I like I like listening to myself back from a just analytical point of view.
yeah,
And yeah, so it's I sort of I like my playing, but I like uh the faults in a way as well from a learning point of view. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think is what I would say about that. But I don't know. Yeah, no one's ever asked that question before. If I
Mm,
like my own, and I guess it's easy to because also you get used to your own stuff that you do. So
yeah,
sometimes when you hear someone else, you go, "Oh, they've just got all this sort of stuff down that I don't." Like
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah, yeah,
rhythms or whatever that I don't do. But you forget that the opposite would be true. You've got things that they probably don't.
yeah,
Not in a like it's a competition way, but like in a everyone's just different, but you're more used to your own stuff. And it might sound like a bit of a tired thing to you because you do it
yeah.
or whatever, but it's actually not. It's just
That's your
that's
little
your
leg.
style. And I also think that it's really nice to be actually when people go like, oh, that's a bit of an Adam thing to do, or whatever. It's like it's quite nice. Because
Yeah,
sometimes I think, oh, am I just really predictable? But I think it's good to have those kind of recognizable things.
yeah.
And I've had like a couple of times where people have sent me like a video of some random gig or whatever it is, and you can't see me, but they're like, "Oh, that sounds like you," and I'm like, "Oh, that was me," and that's really
Hmm.
cool.
Nice. Okay.
If you've just played with people enough, they sort of can hear these little things, and
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, I
Right.
don't know. Yes, I suppose I do for the most part like my own
That's
play.
good. That's good. I mean, I think I yes, same. It's the same answer. It's like some days I listen to it and go, yes, I'm really happy with this. Like, and then other days I'll listen back to it and go, just quit. Just
Really, is that from? Do you record yourself at home, or is that from playing on gigs normally? Or
playing. Usually playing on gigs. I should do. I should record myself at home, but I don't. But yeah, if I hear stuff back that I've recorded, even if I've just recorded it on my phone, be like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I nailed that. That was really good. I
yeah,
like that. I got a good tone. It was tasteful. I wasn't over the top, or I had some good note choices. Finally, I outlined that B7 chord where I usually just play E minor over it. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so then other days, yeah, I'll listen to it, particularly if I'm practicing and it's not quite going well. I'm like, "This is just everything I do is shit. Everything I do is crap." But I think you have to go through that. I think
You
that happens
do.
to everybody.
Yeah, you do. But then is it a bit like what I was saying earlier? Sometimes that's the point where I'll just play something that I like, and I'm good at
Yes.
like refire that, you know.
I'll put some Hendrix on and I'll just noodle through
Exactly. Yeah.
some changes like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Listen,
Just
Adam,
something.
I'm gonna let you go. I've got to run back because my bathroom still isn't finished and I still have to get it done. Listen, mate, it was lovely to connect. It was lovely to chat, and we will speak soon.
Yeah. Nice one,
Thank
mate.
you, mate. Lovely to
Love to
chat.
chat to
See you
you. See
later.
you later. Bye.